only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters. We're going to bring you the news and reviews, of course, of your favorite brews. I am Dan Baker, and I'm joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course, the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
This is another one of those fun episodes where we're not talking about beer.
I know we're
Stepping outside our comfort zone again.
And we lost 20%.
I know. But no, it's worth sticking around. We're in our hometown of Reading. Beautiful building. This place is great. I love the decor. I love like the redone hardwood floor. But we are at Rebel Hive Meadery, and I'm very excited to be here. And that means we have joining us
Megan
and
Ryan Ludwig.
Guys, thank you so much for having us out here.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Of course. I am super pumped for this. We've done mead on the show a couple of times. And it always, I get giddy inside because it's it's a curveball, and I love it so much.
But we've never done a full episode at a meadery.
No, we haven't. We did County Seat and Colony together as like a bonus episode when we were at Hijinks, and that was
the day we just kept drinking and drinking and
the
drinking.
basically the
I remember.
alcohol complex brewery, distillery, and meadery.
Wait, have these guys on next?
All
wait,
connected by
have these guys
one
on next?
hallway. Yeah. So we essentially did the episode at Hijinks and then went down and did like a bonus episode with it was County Seat and Colony.
Yeah.
That was cool. But I think we may have had like a little bit of mead here and there, but we've done a cider-centric episode not too long ago.
True.
And this is our first mead-centric episode.
Cool.
So this is cool. This is cool. We've been doing a beer podcast for 6 years, and you kind of run out of things to say about beer. So this is always
Well,
exciting.
apparently not, though.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Beer is fabulous.
Beer is amazing.
True.
Nothing against beer.
But mead is like that untapped market in the alcohol business, and it's so great. I'm looking over here, and I'm seeing the bottles you have lined up, and I can't wait.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, if you out there in the internet want to join and see the shenanigans that we have going and see some photos of all the lovely mead and the building they have here, follow us online at BeerBusters, Twitter and Instagram, BeerBusters Podcast on Facebook, and don't forget BeerBustersPodcast.com, and the wonderful, wonderful Patreon.com/BeerBusters, where you get access to Last Call and the punishment.
Yeah,
videos.
so it occurred to me as we were doing the intro and we were getting into where we're going to plug our socials.
Yet again, we did not.
We didn't tell our guests beforehand in the sort of pre-show rundown. There's something new that we're doing.
We promise we don't make a habit of gotcha journalism.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, you figure they're already in front of the microphone, so they can't get
So
out
it's
of
a little
it
late now. This is
We're
by
trapped.
speaking into the microphones, you agree to consent to this.
I know how this works.
Right. So our listeners, if you don't know, we've recently started doling out punishments to the loser of our Happy Fun Time game, our trivia game that we do in the middle of the episode. That happens at the end when we're doing Last Call, and we film it, and it's exclusively available to patrons.
Oh, mercy.
So, yeah, whoever loses the game
dog.
is going to have to drink something that might be a little bit difficult.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, maybe a
Okay.
little bit
All right.
uncomfortable. It's nothing too crazy. And, of course, if anyone ever actually doesn't want to do it, that's fine. I'll just do it in their stead. If anybody ever actually doesn't want to do it, I'll put that out there now.
True, because you can't lose.
That's true, because I host the game. I can't lose. If anybody ever doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. But, yeah, so if you want to see that, as well as listen to Last Call, our bonus podcast, go to patreon.com/beerbuster.
As little as $1 a month will get you access to all of the fun stuff we have there. Normally, this is where we would do the news. However, this episode we're recording pretty far in advance, so anything that we would talk about would be extremely old news by the time the episode comes out. But that just means we get to talk about you guys and the mead sooner in the show.
Awesome.
So
Always fun.
here we are in Reading. Here we are at Rebel Hive. Now, a couple of questions, I guess, to start off. One, why a meadery instead of anything else? But two, are you guys from the Reading area originally?
Yeah, so we both grew up around this area. I'm originally from Exeter. My wife is from Burnville.
Yep, Tulpy girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we met up in college at DeSales University. Didn't realize we were both from this area when we met each other, and worked out.
Yep, he drove me home for Thanksgiving break, and my Nana's like, he's adorable. And, the rest is history.
When you get Nana's vote, you know you're in.
Yeah, right.
Nana's pretty much the best judge of character ever. So.
Yeah, so now we're both back down in the area and excited to bring a meadery, another meadery to this area.
Yes, we are pumped. And mead is fun. So we both started out actually brewing beer. So this is perfect in the Lehigh Valley area. And Ryan is a chemist by trade. So I bought him a Mr. Beer kit shortly after we were married. And I was like, honey, I feel like this is a good outlet for you, stress reliever. He did a batch and said, this is fun, honey, but can I please go to the local homebrew store and get actual equipment? And I said, sure, did some beer. Beer was delicious, but then we were introduced to mead by Mike Manning, who started the Colony, who's the president of our homebrew club at the time. And so we got to sample that, and then Ryan started working with some meads, and I said, okay, this is what you should be doing.
Yeah, we had some stuff on the market at the time, and it wasn't that great. And then when we had Mike's stuff, it just blew us away what they were doing over there. So we started focusing on that. And just to be clear, that Mr. Beer kit, going to the bigger kit too, pretty much took over our entire apartment at the time. So you couldn't walk anywhere without something fermenting somewhere.
Or exploding all over your tiny kitchen.
Going all over the place,
It's not surprising that you wanted to graduate to big boy equipment so quickly being a chemist, because I kind of feel like giving a Mr. Beer kit to a chemist is like giving you like one of those little like play chemistry sets. Like the concepts here are cool, but...
Like those Barnes and Noble little mini kits.
Exactly. Or the ones back in the 50s that had like uranium in them. Like actually radioactive. Yeah. There you go. So that's cool. So if anyone listening doesn't really know, what exactly is mead?
So mead is another fermented beverage. It's often called honey wine, but instead of using grapes like you would with a traditional wine, you use honey as the main fermentable sugar. So you add honey. We typically do about 3 pounds of honey per gallon of mead, so it takes quite a bit of honey. And then we do all sorts of fruits and spices off of that.
Is there like a time in history when mead making began? I mean, beer, it kind of was accidental in the way that beer making started. I don't really know the history of mead.
So mead is supposed to be the oldest fermented beverage in human history. We know that for thousands of years, if not longer, people have been eating honey as a food source. So it's kind of along the same idea. People carried honey with them for food sources. It would be in a closed vessel as they're out hunting or gathering or whatever they were doing, and started to ferment. But some of the oldest pottery, particularly in the region of Asia and in that area, and Mesopotamia too, there's been pottery that's been found that dates back 7,000 BC or so. Wow. That had traces of honey and alcohol in it. So it's believed that that's the oldest form of fermentation. It kind of died out during the Middle Ages for several different reasons, and now it's kind of coming back, riding the craft beer wave that's going on.
It's pretty recent that modern mead making has sort of made a comeback. I think for me, probably Colony was like the first time I realized that, there's places doing this. Yeah, like I had heard of mead
aside
before,
from like the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, right, exactly.
As far as like a craft beverage, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was more of like a historical thing, like, we're doing this, let's drink mead. So it is pretty recent that mead making has come back.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's so fun.
So and you keep mentioning that. What, obviously you both started as homebrewers. What makes mead making perhaps more fun than beer?
I think for me, it was something where I could actually give input to what flavors to experiment with, and the end product was closer to what I pictured in my head. For me, with beer brewing, I just myself was not as good at it. If I get this 119E yeast and malted grains of sorts, that it's going to produce X flavor. For me, it was harder to envision. With mead, I was like, I like this spice and I like this fruit, and I can picture them together, picture this type of honey, and the end product obviously doesn't taste like it raw, but it's much closer to that original concept.
Right.
That sort of begs the question, like, brewing and the results you get through brewing also have a lot to do with the actual process, almost as much, if not more so, than the ingredients that go in. Is that similar with mead, or is it basically the process is always the same, or can you kind of affect it?
It's very similar. I'd say the process is a bit more standardized, I think, with temperatures and all that. But different yeasts are going to give you your different flavor profiles again. It all comes down with mead for the honey. We like playing with a lot of monofloral honeys, meaning that the bees are pulling from one main nectar source.
Right.
So you get a lot of different characteristics from that. But yeah, you can get all sorts of different tastes from the honey itself, the yeast that you use, and then obviously the temperatures with the yeast will throw off different flavors.
Right. And does it vary like fermentation time, or is it pretty much always about the same amount?
It varies. Yeah, it all depends. So we do fermentation in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's a little bit, I guess, faster than some of the other meads on the market. But if you're going with more of a wine type yeast, those tend to go a little bit slower usually.
Right. Yeah.
Lower temperatures compared to beer yeast, which tend to be a little bit higher temperatures and faster.
And since you're fermenting a honey, which I assume has, I mean, maybe it doesn't, but a higher sugar content than something like grains or grapes, I imagine the more fermentation you allow to happen, you're going to obviously get a drier product. But like if you ferment pretty quick, does it stay very sweet?
No, so it's up to you to kind of stop it where you want it.
Okay.
It will drop, basically eat through all the sugar if you let it. I usually stop mine a bit sweeter, so we cold crash a little bit earlier to kind of slow down the yeast, do some filtering, and then stabilizing to leave some residual sugar, so you're still getting a nice honey character in the taste.
Cool.
So I have a question about the different kinds of honey that you said that you use. One, I don't think I realized until we started talking about mead a while ago on the show, the rare times that we did, that there were different kinds of honey. To me, honey was just the thing that you go to the grocery store, you buy in the little bear squeezable thing, and you put it in your tea when you're sick.
It comes in bear shape and honeycomb shape.
Exactly, yeah. And that's pretty much
bear flavor honeycomb.
What kinds of different honey are there? To me, it's still just it's just the bear squeeze thing.
Yeah, so that actually is part of why I was excited when we first started mead too, because I was the same way growing up. Honey's honey.
Yeah.
And when you start to try all the different kinds, it's incredible the differences in tastes that you get from different honeys. The big one that we like to play with is orange blossom honey. Basically, any of our major crops in America, you're going to get monofloral honeys because farmers, take bees there to pollinate. And there's also not a lot of diversity in terms of plants there, so you're going to get pretty much one source of nectar. So we like playing with orange blossom honey, mostly coming from Florida and parts of Brazil. But it gives you a nice, almost citrusy character. It doesn't taste like oranges. You get a lot of people who expect that. It's coming from the flower, so it's not it's not the fruit itself. But we've done everything from blueberry blossom honey, raspberry blossom honey, bamboo,
Eucalyptus. That's a fun one.
Avocado is big right now because of the avocados that took over.
Millennials.
Yeah.
It really does
Says the
not taste
millennial.
like avocado.
You are millennials too.
We all are.
But yeah, just
I'm
finding
an elder millennial.
It's a different,
and finding
same but different.
Yeah, same thing. But yeah, we're always looking for new types of honey too. We got some sitting at home now. Carrot, blackberry.
Oh, bamboo.
Bamboo. Yeah.
Bamboo honey's really good.
Yeah.
How
So
does carrot honey work? What?
Well, it gets it from the flower, not
yeah.
from the carrot.
I know it's
There's
still
flowers
I guess
in
I'm still
carrots?
yeah.
if you let it go long enough. Yep.
Yeah. I
You
guess
know
that
what?
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might have learned that from Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah. There you go.
Of course. Also known as Jazz Horse.
Yeah, the honeys are fun. That's one of my favorite parts of this venture, has just been literally eating spoonfuls of honey just to be like, I just need to understand the raw character before we proceed.
Yeah. And it's I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself now, but if you just use the honey and don't flavor or spice, that's what's called a traditional mead. So the honey character will really come through. And it's been a problem so far with us starting out. We only have one traditional, and people, it's so new to most people that we can't have 2 or 3 traditionals right now, or we don't yet, because we still get people saying, I want the one made with honey. It's like, well, they all are.
Or the regular.
Yeah, or the regular.
regular.
Yeah, like, okay.
Original flavor.
Eventually,
no judgment.
Yeah,
No
eventually we'll be
judgment.
coming out with more traditionals that are.
That's
It's a new thing.
something that came up when we were at Current doing the ciders. There was sort of a split in the cider community between like traditionalists that only drink ciders that came from apples and didn't have any other sort of like additives in them. Is there a similar thing with mead? Are there people who will only drink like traditional meads without any other additives?
I've had a few people like that, but it seems to be a lot less.
A lot of people
for
are more
most people,
open.
it's brand new, so they just, they
Right.
don't really have opinions yet. But I have had one or two that will stick to traditionals, and that's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where do you get your honey from?
So we are primarily buying from Dutch Gold up in Lancaster, so semi-local. It's important to us that it's all true sourced, meaning they can follow it from their beehive to our bottles, because there's so much getting cut with corn syrup now, especially coming from overseas. That's important to us. And we're always looking for local collaborations to do as well. If anyone has wildflower honey, wildflower honey is just honey that you have no clue what the bees are getting.
Right.
It's just kind of whatever's out there. Downside to that is that it's kind of a risk. You don't know what your product's going to taste like, and especially year to year. If you have a farmer's honey this spring and then try it next spring, it'll taste
Completely
very different.
different.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, there's a lot of breweries that collaborate with like local hop farmers, and even some that are starting to grow their own hops as well, or at least have gardens on premise that they're growing ingredients that they use in beers. Is it possible that you as a meadery or other meaderies perhaps have their own bee colonies and
there's
raise their
Don't know the
I don't know the
terminology.
right verb to use.
have
yeah.
apiaries. Yeah, there's
Apiaries.
Yeah, there's
Could you have an apiary?
eventually that's the long-term goal.
Yeah.
We'll never have enough probably to supply all this. It's just a ton of work to raise bees.
And a lot of money.
Yeah, and a lot of money. Yep. But I know what's the Meadery in New Jersey? I'm blanking now. Melovino, yeah. They started raising bees, and there's quite a few that I follow on Instagram and stuff that are have a couple hives. But like I said, it does take about 3 pounds of honey per gallon.
Right.
So one of our 10-barrel batches is close to 1,000 pounds of honey.
Well,
So
it's kind of
that's
like
a
a
lot of
winery.
honey.
Does any
Yeah.
winery actually grow enough grapes
Yeah.
to make the wine that they make? I
not
don't
too
think
much
so.
anymore. Yeah,
But-
it's rare.
You sort of expect that when you drive up to a winery
Right,
to see
right.
all of the vines. But all right, we need to drink some of this.
Yeah, let's try some of this stuff.
I keep staring
Pop
at this
open the bottle.
bottle.
So this one you motioned to when you said about the traditional ones. This is the traditional?
Yeah, so this is our traditional orange blossom honey. It's a 12% alcohol.
12%.
12%.
Yeah,
It's
it's
generally
usually
like
high.
a wine kind of range, alcohol-wise, right?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so it's not you, it's mead.
Yeah.
Talk to
Thank
me
you.
about this glass.
Oh,
Yeah, so these are a whiskey type glass or a brandy glass. We were just trying to play around with glassware that we liked, and we found this. We look for something to kind of trap in that honey aroma. Some people are doing wine glasses, just your traditional wine glasses. Other wineries are playing around with all different things, and we found these and love them to drink out of. So they allow you to kind of swirl it a little bit, breathe it in.
That's really good.
Oh yeah. How should I be drinking this?
Oh, yeah, I guess I should have asked you that before I drank it.
Open your mouth.
Pinky up.
Put it in your mouth and swallow.
Yeah,
Sounds
I
like a
recommend
wine.
kind of like a wine. You swirl it a little bit, release some of the aroma, and then
tally
Drink
ho.
Tally-ho. Oh, that is good.
It is really nice.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I consider this a semi-sweet. There's some on the market which is too cloyingly sweet, and actually the last one we'll end with today is a really sweet one, so you can try what really sweet is. There's also, we can take this completely dry, but I like that bit of honey character to still come through, so you know what you're drinking when you try it.
All right, so go through the process, because obviously it looks very similar to brewing, but you have a lot less equipment than a brewer would have.
Yes.
So for what does a mead making day look like here?
Yeah, so I always say the difference between mead and beer. Beer is a lot of work up front. Mead is a lot of work at the back end, kind of stretched out. So for us, I've got a big mixing tank over there. So I add water, purified water that we're using, add in the honey and mix it together. And then once we reach the specific gravity that we want, I'll add yeast nutrient. It's a downside to honey is that it's very nutrient poor compared to grain like you would use for beer. So we do have to add our own nutrient to it, add the yeast, and basically let it go.
So you do all of that in that, you called it a mixing. It sort of looks like a boil kettle if we were in a brewery.
Yeah. There's just big mixing paddles in there that spin to mix the honey in.
Huh.
Mix it with the water. Yeah.
Okay.
So no heating.
So it's almost like a mash tun, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so there's no heating involved, no boiling, nothing like that. In fact, if you heat up honey, you'll lose a lot of the very delicate notes of it. So we try to avoid that.
So what temperature water do you use?
Room temp. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes I will, if we have like big stores of honey, sometimes I'll heat it up to like 90 degrees just to make it pour easier, but that's about it. Yeah, nothing much above 100 degrees.
So then once you mix and you, if you are adding any adjuncts or any other ingredients, you also do that in that vessel, or do you do that before you're ready to bottle?
So you can do either. There's a big debate actually in the mead world what gets better. Most of our stuff is in secondary vessels. So once it's done fermenting, then I'll age it on the fruits and spices. I actually got that technique from Mike up at the Colony. But there's a lot of people who will do it in primary. And we have done some in primary. Again, the last one that we'll try today is actually everything went into the fermentation. You do get a little bit more complexity if you do it in primary, but for a lot of fruits and spices, it's to me, it doesn't make a big difference. And it's just, it's a lot easier to do in secondary, and I can control the flavors a lot more that way as well.
Right. I'm sorry, my questions are out of order.
No, you're fine.
So once it's in the mixer, it goes into the conical fermenter that you have here. So that would be your primary fermenting vessel.
Correct.
And it's there for 2 weeks, as you mentioned before.
Yeah. Yep.
So are you checking gravity like you would with beer?
Yeah, so every single day we check gravity. pH is important because the pH can drop really fast for mead. So we're checking that, be sure it doesn't get too low and stress the yeast out. Temperature, all that stuff. So every day I'm checking that, and usually it's not a problem until day 3 or 4 when things start to drop a little bit low for us. But also in the first couple days, I'm also adding more yeast nutrient. There's a lot of wine studies out there that suggest adding it for the first 4 days instead of kind of all up front. It gives you a much cleaner fermentation. And we've seen that as well. So we'll add yeast nutrient over the first 4 days of the fermentation as well.
So is the yeast you use more like a wine yeast?
I'm primarily using beer yeast.
Okay.
I love playing with the Belgian beer yeasts. I think you'll get a tiny bit of like an apple type character from it. I really enjoy that. Most other people are using wine yeasts, but I don't know. To me, wine yeast is finicky. Some of our specialty stuff, I'll use wine yeast, but I try to avoid it if I can. I really, really like beer yeast.
Are you able to reuse the yeast?
Yeah, beer yeast you can. Yep, you can reuse that.
But you can't reuse wine yeast?
Typically not. It usually mutates very fast. I'm sure there's people who are reusing it. I'm not sure. I never do. And the other thing is wine yeast is also very cheap. You usually get it dry, so it typically comes dry. So it's typically cheap enough to just dump and
just
get
new stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then so once it's done fermenting, you move it into a secondary vessel. Do you make like a big batch of your traditional mead and then kind of split it out when you put it to secondary so you can do different cool things with it?
Yep. That's what we've been doing so far.
Yeah.
So we make a 10-barrel batch of our traditional, and then based on that, we'll split it into smaller secondary batches and do flavorings and different fruits in secondary then.
Very cool. Okay, I feel more comfortable here now.
Now that we know where it's all coming from, we get the process now.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Yes. Okay, I asked a lot of questions, so it's your turn now.
I want to try it. I want to try.
It's like it
another
looks
mead.
like a brewery.
Yeah, let's try another.
It smells
mead.
like a brewery, but it's not a brewery.
So that first one, I liked how it was not super dry, but not super sweet either.
Yeah, it's another thing. We say honey wine to people, and they instantly think like cloyingly, eating honey.
Yeah,
or like it's
right,
not that.
right.
Just,
Yeah.
It's kind of been our biggest problem is just getting it in people's hands to try it.
Even the
Very
description,
reluctant.
I think was my biggest challenge for people. And I tell people it's basically a fuller mouthfeel than a typical wine, but it doesn't sit in your stomach as heavy as a typical beer.
Right.
Kind of
Right.
just a nice little hug going down the esophagus.
A nice little hug.
And then, yes, it just makes you feel good.
I love that. So you guys are sort of stepping into the scene as I think mead making is still, I think we can say it's still up and coming.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it hasn't really taken over. So I'm sure you're already thinking about ways to sort of separate yourselves from the rest of the pack.
Yep. And I think I'll let you take that one.
We can pause. We can edit if you're having issues with the bottle.
Oh, that's
It's having trouble getting it open.
I
It looked
can't
like
get the cork out.
no.
It's been stemlered.
Or that winer. Oh, yeah, the waiter.
Yeah,
these
blame
bottle
the-
openers are awesome when they work, but when they don't,
Yeah,
See, it's
I
not just me.
still have to
I
use
have a
just a
technique.
plain
it's
old.
disappointing you.
Yeah, just oops.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they can't see
Oh
me.
wow!
See, when it does work, it
Smooth.
works really smoothly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really nice, and then it pops the cork out for you and everything.
It's great.
really
It's
nice.
great.
Speaking of the serving process, so I see you've put those. I'm sure there's a name for those little funnel things you see on like
Nozzle,
Nozzles.
nozzle, yeah, like
Aerator, sort of. Yeah.
Boost nozzle.
Yeah. Does that do anything but just help it pour better?
These ones don't. You can get ones that aerate a little bit more, but
Yeah.
that's just a pour. So the first one that you had was the traditional. This is a spiced one. So this one is a Ceylon cinnamon. It's kind of a creamier cinnamon. It's sort of the original cinnamon. What the spice trade was based off of was the Ceylon. So you don't get a real spicy note like you would with the stuff that's on the mass market. And then a little bit of vanilla in there as well to kind of round it out.
The aroma is way more like a wine to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then you drink it and you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's something different. And that's, I think, when I'm having people taste our meads, I always say taste more than one because they are all so very different.
I really like the cinnamon.
Ooh,
in that.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna
it's
say
really
that.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, can you make like a cocktail with this?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. We love doing that at home. That's one of the reasons we want to get to a tasting room someday to do mixed drinks because they are awesome mixed drinks with meads.
Mead Hattons.
Mead Hattons.
Mead Hattons.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Mead Hattons. So yummy.
Nice.
Mead sangrias we've done. What other fun mead mixed drinks?
The cinnamon one you can do with like a apple juice and then
Heat it up a little
That's
bit.
yeah. I was
So
going to ask
stick.
if you could heat this up and do like
Yeah.
a cider kind of thing.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That sounds amazing.
Now I noticed these two that we've had so far are basically the same color. The other two you have over there are more pinkish and red. Does that only come from the adjuncts, or can you get different colors from different honeys as well?
It comes from the honey. Yeah,
Does
it's,
it?
it's
Okay.
a big difference. Going to like a darker honey, like a buckwheat honey, that will make it look really dark.
Avocado honey is really dark,
Avocado
too.
honey's darker. Yep. We've done one with a couple hives that we actually do have at our house. Was last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
It's a very apple and pear type taste. So I'm thinking they got
Ooh.
into someone's orchard around us.
And they did
And-
because
yeah.
our neighbors were saying, "Did you guys get bees? Because we've been having a lot of bees." And we're like, "Oh, is that a
these bees come
problem?"
from?
Yeah.
But they're like, "No, our trees are thriving," and
Yeah.
they had pear and apple trees.
Yeah, and
Oh, perfect.
that one fermented crystal clear. Like it was it looked like water. Like it
Wow.
was a really
Wow.
cool color. Yeah.
Huh.
It was
I haven't been able
delicious.
to replicate that yet, but it's
Interesting.
I want to. It's really cool looking.
You know, speaking of like being able to do the cocktails with it, this is just my brain being my brain. Can you like barrel age a mead?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that something people have done? Are you planning on doing that?
Oh yeah. Yes. So yeah, I find bourbon goes very well with it. I find rum. To me, rum pairs best with.
Oh, I guess
mead.
that makes sense.
That sounds like that.
Kind of like you would pair bourbon or whiskey with a beer. I find that rum goes really well with mead. But yeah, we've done a couple at home and hoping to expand into that this coming year. Yeah.
That also makes me curious. Is there any mead that's like sort of wild fermented or soured or done with anything like Brett or anything like that?
It's coming around.
Okay.
There is actually the American Mead Makers Association, which is an awesome organization that really tries, supports meaderies that are up and coming. They just did a big study on quite a few, let's say it was like 12 or 14 different strands of, I think they actually used yeast for that was producing sour notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what yeast came out very well, but it seems to be like that is an area where people will go. Something that I want to play with. I've done one batch at home so far where I took the dregs of a bunch of different sours that we actually opened on my 30th birthday, and just dumped them all in a mead, and it got pretty good.
Yeah.
It didn't get the quite the sourness that I wanted from it, but it got pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, since it sort of has a wine character to it, can you cook with mead also?
Yes, absolutely. So
Yeah.
it's something else I do a lot of. We just used our cherry the other night. I did a cherry reduction and then cooked it with some pork chops.
Oh my
That's
God.
really good. Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really good.
I find it goes really well with especially the fattier type foods. So, your porks, things like that. And just drinking it with food, I find goes really well as well. Compared to me, I like it more than your traditional wines or even beer sometimes.
And spicy things. I like it with spicy things and seafood, like doing the
Seafood,
traditional with the seafood.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And
So I feel
risotto.
like you guys just have to educate people. I don't think people know all of this stuff about, and it's sort of like when craft beer sort of started, and brewers were creating all of these styles that no one had ever heard of or knew the history of or what they tasted like. We've come a long way in that realm, and I feel like the mead world just needs to do the same thing. Like, this is mead. This is all the things mead can be, and these are all the things you can do with mead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's been probably our biggest hurdle so far is education for people. You've got quite a few people who don't understand. Someone was asking me the other day, well, what's the point? What do you do with it?
I got the
Like,
same
did
question
you?
yesterday.
Yeah.
What's the
point?
point?
I
And I'm
got
like,
that.
to drink it.
Yeah,
It's good.
it's a different kind of drink. Yeah, but why? What?
But why?
Yeah, so,
Alcohol.
Why make
Alcohol.
something
Tastes
that tastes
delicious.
good and also contains alcohol?
It's alcoholic and it tastes delicious.
Yeah.
That is definitely the best answer.
It makes me wonder, has there been, I know we talked a lot about how mead is, as like sort of a craft drink is only just now sort of up and coming. Has there been like a commercial mead, like a Budweiser of mead out there for like a long time? Or, because I can't think of
That's a
anything.
really good question.
probably the biggest one right now is Superstition out in
Okay.
Arizona. They're doing awesome stuff. All the ones I'll say are very good. They're not doing terrible things like
Yes,
some of the
yes, they're
InBev
not-
stuff. But,
Right.
but no one. I don't know. I think Superstition is probably the closest.
There's not a big mass market mead.
Yeah, they're
yet.
international now. And
So you probably couldn't go to like a supermarket in like the 70s and find mead
No,
anywhere.
I doubt it.
That's not a thing.
The Bunratty mead, I would say like state store, like back in the day before we started this venture, and we just like trying new things. There was a honey wine on the shelf that we sampled.
yeah, it's a lot of the old stuff was cheap white wine that had honey added to it.
Okay.
That they were calling mead.
Right.
So luckily that pretty much changed now, but yeah, there's not a huge market right now, or up and coming, I should say.
Right. Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, the only place I had ever had mead, like a while ago, was at the Renaissance Fair. You
Yeah.
could always get mead at the Renaissance Fair, and it was just like I'd never seen another place. I don't even know. I mean, they have the winery there. I guess it's the winery that makes it. I'm not even sure if it has a brand or if it's just sort of what you drink there, because
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Old timey sake.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's actually been another one of our problems besides the education part. If we're like, hey, have you had mead before? And people are like, oh yeah, and I don't like it. It's like, well, it's like saying you don't like beer or anything else because you've had one
Yeah.
that you didn't like.
Yeah.
There's so many different flavors and kinds, and every meadery is going to taste different based on their process. So try it again if you tried it in the past and didn't like it.
I feel like something like beer or coffee, those are definitely acquired tastes. There are very few people that have coffee or beer for the first time and are like, oh my gosh, this is delicious.
That's true. Yeah.
But I feel like with mead, I mean, it just, that sweetness is so, like you said, it hugs your esophagus. Like, I find it hard to believe that many people would.
Yeah, the
It's
only
such
thing
a loving embrace.
It is a loving embrace. The only thing I could imagine being
I love her one-liners.
a little bit difficult for someone coming to it for the first time is if you're not someone who really drinks something that's higher in alcohol, because you do get a little bit of heat from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, but other than that, yeah, it tastes good, and it's a
thank
little
you.
sweet, and yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, as I'm drinking it, I'm like trying to remember this is like 12% alcohol.
I know.
Maybe
I keep
sip,
drinking it way
maybe
too
sip.
fast.
And there are some people who don't like that. I personally like a little bit of a burn like that for some of my drinks. So, it's yeah, I enjoy it.
Which is good.
Yeah, but like Steph said, I do feel like it's an alcoholic drink that I think is more approachable than beer or
Yeah.
wine
I
for the
agree.
first time. Yeah,
I
definitely.
completely agree.
Yeah, depending on the beer, depending on the wine, it can be pretty harsh.
Yeah.
This is good.
So since mead is sort of an up-and-coming beverage in the alcoholic world, and you guys are sort of part of this first wave, how do you plan to set yourselves apart and make yourselves special as mead becomes more of a thing?
Yeah, so I think we have a very good product, particularly here in Pennsylvania. It is so new to so many people that, everyone who tries it's kind of a new experience for them, so that's awesome. And then we do plan on doing more experimental batches in the future. We kind of got started with doing a type of mead that's called a bochet, which is a caramelized honey.
Ooh.
So you caramelize the honey first.
Ooh.
And as we started going more and more commercial, getting ready for commercial, we kind of moved away from it just because it is a pain to do. But we hope to get back to that. And you'll try one of our caramelized ones at the end here. That kind of started us down this commercial path. So we hope to do that. Hope to do more of the barrel aged stuff. And then eventually, when we can get into it, we want to do carbonated meads. So 5% to 8% alcohol.
Okay.
And doing different spices and stuff like that. We've done a lot at home.
Adding hops as well.
Adding hops. Hops. We've got a grapefruit one that we do at home all the time. What else?
Go
the
back to
Moscow
the
mead.
Moscow mead.
That
Yeah, the
sounds
ginger.
amazing.
That's one of our
and lime.
favorites. Yes.
Yeah, they're awesome. Super drinkable.
Tell me more
yeah.
about this carbonated mead.
Yeah. So you do basically the same process, only you add less honey. So it's pulling the alcohol down a little bit. And then again, we can flavor it however we want. We've been at home. We age it in a keg, and then put it on tap.
You just force carb it?
Yep, force carb. Yep, you drink it. It doesn't have the head like a beer would have, but it has still retains the carbonation. So it drinks probably closer to like a carbonated cider, something like that. And it's just really awesome, refreshing.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I didn't realize there were so many possibilities in this world.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
So we have
Speaking
another.
of, yes.
So this is a mead aged on cherries.
Cherry Lee Lewis.
I love the name of it.
Cherry Lee Lewis. Yes. Will be considered a melomel if you're going by the kind of old names. Something aged on fruit. This is a lot of dark cherries and tart cherries. So the tart cherries really pull through this. It is our sweetest mead out of kind of our standard lineup, but the acidity of the tart cherries kind of cuts through that a little bit.
I really like this.
I do too.
Thank you. As I always say, he's the chemist. I'm the one that does the puns.
I love it.
I'm glad that the cherry in this isn't like punch you in the back of the throat level of cherry. It's approachable. It's good. It doesn't leave a huge aftertaste. And you still get like the honey and the sweetness out of it. It's very well rounded. I like this a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was another one of my goals when we went commercial, is to try and balance as much as possible. I've had a lot of things, and I'm sure you've had it in beer all the time too, that is just over the top. And it kills. Yeah, it kills the drink. So it's all about finding that balance with the ingredients.
And I think there's not much to hide behind with the mead. Honey is so delicate. It's so flavorful, but it is so delicate. And I think you really have to be smart about the ingredients that you're adding. And obviously you use a lot of high quality ingredients too, because you would be able to tell right away.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one reason why I love mead so much, is that there isn't much to hide behind, so you can really show off different flavors. Fruits and spices really pull through in these, and you can really show their full potential.
So tell me the story behind the name Rebel Hive. Obviously Hive because of bees, and I like how your little catchphrase is "Be a rebel."
Yep.
BEE, of course.
Yeah, so we were sitting down one night when we decided to take this commercial, trying to come up with a good name. Had a few drinks that night, and we're kicking around different names. We knew we wanted to do something that goes back to bees, because that's kind of where this is coming from. The colony was already taken up in Allentown, and so we were kind of going with Hive sort of thing. And then we liked the idea of something different on the market, different in terms of what mead was when we first started out, and different in terms of what everyone was drinking. So we were talking about, kind of rebelling against like your ordinary drinks.
Hive Rebellion was what I threw out.
Yes.
You say, Megan, that's way too long. I'm not putting that on a label. You said Rebel Hive. And I said,
Yep, and it stuck. So we went with Rebel Hive.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It sort of rolls off the tongue.
It
Rebel
does.
Hive.
Yeah.
It
That
does.
sounds good.
So I guess I only have one other question. Well, it's probably going to lead to many questions, but like, what is the future here? I mean, obviously, this will eventually be some sort of tap room open to the public. Like, do you have a timetable for that? And then, what are your plans beyond that?
Yeah, so our original plan was to do a tap room right off the bat. Ran into some problems, and so we started going more towards farmers markets and events, which was, looking back, it was actually better for us, I think. So we're happy the way it worked out. But the next big step is doing a tasting room and kind of showing off our product, because right now we can pour 1 ounce free samples, but it's kind of in these little plastic glasses, and you don't get the full experience. So really showing people what it can be, doing mixed drinks and things like that, carbonated meads on tap. And then from there, expanding into different states is kind of our next step.
So, do you have an idea of when this tap room will be open to the public?
We're hoping within 1 to 3 years, I'll say.
Shooting for 2.
Yes.
That's a very
1.5.
safe-
yeah,
Super
very
optimistic.
1 to 10 years. No.
It's never easy.
If we learned anything from the startup, it's nothing will go as fast as you think. So,
Yep.
so we're hoping 2 years is our timetable. We're still we just kind of got production under control now. Everything that could go wrong did for us at first. So
This poor man,
Yeah.
literally everything that
Yes.
between your truck breaking, the bottling system failing. Yeah, it was
so
a
Wow.
hot mess.
we finally got that under control. So now next month or in 2 months, we'll be really focused on what our next steps are.
And right now we have a permanent stand at the Shillington Farmers Market here in Reading, and then we'll be at the Antietam Farmers Market every Monday night throughout the summer.
And Good Life.
And
Farmers
Good Life,
Market.
that's right. Yes,
Starting up in
on Tuesdays.
2 weeks, I think that is, out near Scheller.
Yeah, yep, Sheldon
cool.
Brewing, yep,
Yeah.
out in that area.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're
There's a
excited.
farmer's market over there?
Yeah, I don't think I knew that either.
It's
It's going to be brand new.
Ah,
Yeah.
all right,
Oh,
all
the
right.
Good Life
The
place.
Good Life place.
The place where you
they're-
go for a $12 juice.
Yeah.
or delicious mead.
Yes.
yes. Yes.
Oh,
I think the
that's
only
nice.
farmer's market I knew of was Fairgrounds. I didn't
There's a
realize
bunch.
there were.
Shillington Farmers Market's been there forever. There's
Yeah.
one in Wyomissing too,
All right,
behind the movie theater.
you figure I would know that. 'cause
And
I
then
worked at
West
that movie
Reading
theater.
does one outside.
And we'll be special guests at West Reading once a month as well.
That's
Cool.
a great. I
Very
love that
cool.
market.
Yeah, second week in July we'll be there, and we're coming out with a new mead for that market.
Ooh.
It'll be we're playing with Akron House Teas in this area. She makes awesome tea. We'll be using her blackcurrant cranberry flavored tea.
Whoa,
In it.
That
It's a
sounds
black
pretty
tea.
cool.
It gets
Yeah.
really good.
huh?
That sounds delicious.
That
Tea and
does.
mead is really fun. So much to play with. It's so fun.
Yes.
Well, it's gonna be cool, whether it's a year or 3 years from now when this is open, because
Yeah.
it's a really cool space.
Yeah.
And the area over there and sort of the next room over looks like it'd be a really cool place to chill and drink some mead.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the building already looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I said,
It's a
I
cool
love
spot.
the redone hardwood floor that you have here. Like it looks like this could be ready to go right now, assuming you had the stools and the
Yeah.
government approval and
Seats.
whatnot.
All that,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
That's-
permits and
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I found you always operate at the speed of government when it
Yeah.
comes to doing this kind of thing.
That's funny. For the longest time, we didn't have any seats in here, so people would come
all.
over and be like, "Well, you can stand."
Our friends brought bag chairs,
Yeah, bag chairs.
for our meetings.
Nice.
That's, yes.
Nice.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but there's a whole underneath here is a whole basement, so we'll be eventually doing a whole cellaring program.
Ooh.
Aging stuff for a little bit longer. These are pretty quick on the market. What I would consider a quick, mead, but we'll be aging some for a couple years, and doing barrel program, things like that. So
Champagne mead way down the line.
Yeah.
We need time for that.
Yeah, and mead ages very, very well too, which is another question we get, like how long is this good for? We had one that was about 7 or 8 years old the other day, and it was awesome.
What
It was
happens
awesome.
as it gets older? What changes in the flavor or profile?
So if there's no fruit in it, it really doesn't oxidize to the extent that like a beer or a grape wine would. So the flavors just kind of meld together a lot more. You don't get as much of the, I don't know, almost
Bite.
sticky honey. Yeah, sticky honey and the bite of it. It just is just very smooth and well rounded.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne, I don't know if
Are we at that point?
I think we are at that
Oh,
point.
man.
I should probably get to
Are we
the,
time to-
the right screen so I can play
Time
the
for
right.
you to do some more
Yeah,
music.
I gotta get to my right screen too.
All right.
Is this the game?
This
This
is
is
the
it.
game.
Oh,
Here
my
we go.
goodness.
There it
Hey,
is.
There it is. Cheers, Internet. And welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, a podcast trivia segment that does not know the meaning of the phrase comfort zone. since we are a beer podcast and we are recording at a meadery and talking about mead, I thought we'd do a game about wine because everything is fair game today. So we are doing a variation on one of everybody's favorite Happy Fun Time games. This is There's Weird in My Wine.
Oh, boy.
This is a game, of course, in which I will tell you about a particular libation, and you must guess from a list of multiple choice options what the strange ingredient in that drink is. The winner gets bragging rights. The loser gets punished.
Fantastic.
Yes, only for our patrons to see and hear. And today's punishment was provided by Steph. So why don't you pull that out and let's let everyone know what's on the line right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Steph dug this out. It's in a bottle that is literally shaped as like a skull. It is Pirate's Blood honey wine with chili peppers.
Ooh.
Yes. So
really
Steph, why don't you
intrigued.
tell us? Tell us a little bit
both
about
lose.
where this came from,
Joe Man gave it to me.
and have you had it?
And, well, you can tell, obviously,
There's
I've
a
had it.
A pepper floating in it.
It's been opened and enjoyed. But I will admit it's been sitting in my fridge for quite a while. So, but as Ryan just said, it should be fine because apparently mead ages well. So usually a beer sitting in the back of the fridge for a long time is going to be crappy, and that's a good punishment. But maybe this won't be as nasty as.
But it's going to be spicy if nothing
It's gonna
else.
be
Oh,
spicy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
there's
what's
a skull.
the what's the alcohol amount? That's 12%, so it's not huge. Fiery, smoky flavor balanced by the sweetness of honey. All right. So this is
Intimidating.
maybe not so much of a punishment. We'll see.
We'll find out.
Well, it depends on who loses.
I feel like it's
Yeah, it
intimidating.
depends on who.
Definitely wouldn't be a punishment for me.
Steph would definitely enjoy it. I would probably be in pain. All right, so we're going to have Megan, who's sitting to my left, guess first on our first question. And this is North Dakota's Maple River Winery. They produce a white wine made for enjoying during the chillier times of year. It can be served with a slice of lemon, orange, or a touch of honey. But it is made with a certain seasonally appropriate ingredient. Is it pumpkin, poinsettia, or pound cake?
Woof. I mean, I'm just gonna go off of what would actually go in. I would say pumpkin, maybe.
All right, saying pumpkin. Ryan, what do you think?
I would go with pumpkin.
Also going with pumpkin. Dan?
What were the options again? I'm sorry.
It is pumpkin, poinsettia, or pound cake. Like all those plosives.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm going to go pound cake.
Oh,
Ooh.
Dan bucking the trend, going for pound cake. Finally,
What?
Steph. The white wine. They recommend it can be served with lemon, orange, or a touch of honey. If that helps, it probably doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think those things would go well with pumpkin, but I feel like, is poinsettia even safe?
That's what my concern was. Not if you're like a pet.
Yes, if you are a pet,
You're a
then
pet.
no.
But I don't think
Species
pumpkin's
doesn't
that's
matter. Just
weird.
if you're a pet.
Is pumpkin weird?
Is it? I don't know.
what
You're
makes
not
it a
allowed to
hard
ask me
question.
questions.
Oh, it is supposed to be weird.
It is called There's Weird in My Wine.
I know.
Believe me, if you think this is weird, wait till we get to the last two.
All right, I'll. How would pound cake even work, though?
That was my
People put
question.
cake in beer.
They do.
Yeah, but I feel like wine is a whole nother realm.
Clog your filters.
Yeah. I'm gonna say poinsettia. I don't know.
All right,
Like
Steph
kind
going.
of floral. I don't know.
the odd one out.
It'll kill
Citrus
people.
would go with it.
You are incorrect.
Oh, it's
Megan
friggin' pumpkin.
and Ryan had it. It is pumpkin.
Hey,
Yes.
all right.
It's
Fair.
not just for fall beers or spiced lattes. Wine apparently gets in on the gourd game too. The winery uses local pumpkins to produce a semi-sweet, cloudy white wine.
With lemon though.
Yeah, they also
I
produce.
want lemon on my pumpkin.
Maple River makes a wide array of wines with unexpected additives. They have one with rhubarb. They have a jalapeno one,
I've had jalapeno wine.
and they have one made with dandelions. So
Yeah, I've had dandelion wine too. That's actually really
yeah,
good.
Yeah. Well, have you had pumpkin wine?
No.
Oh, you have to try it. Moving along to our next wine of the game, and Ryan is going to guess first on this one. This one comes from Sweden. Sweden's Sav sparkling wine boasts pure tastes of citrus, nuts, and a hint of sourdough bread, with a long, balanced aftertaste of forest, nuts, fungus, herbs, and apples. And that could literally mean
Wow.
anything.
Oh my word, that's
And it
amazing.
tastes like everything. Each spring, in a tradition that dates back over 2 centuries, the winemakers start the production process by harvesting a sweet something from the land. Is it honeysuckle, lingonberries, or tree sap for this sparkling wine?
I'll go with honeysuckle.
All right, going
Where's
with
the winery?
Sweden. Dan? Honeysuckle, lingonberries, or tree
You
sap?
worked at IKEA. Come on.
Well, that doesn't mean I know about their wines.
Their agriculture. That's my thing.
I'm going to go... See, to me, lingonberries seems a little too obvious. I'm going to try tree sap.
No, I think it's lingonberries is so freaking Swedish.
That's what. Yeah.
Like,
That's
it's not
so
weird to
Swedish.
them, but it's weird to us because
Maybe
we're like,
I
what
want
the
to drink
hell?
spicy
Could
skull
they-
wine.
Could they be more Swedish?
Lingonberry mead.
Are
I'm
you
saying
going with
lingonberries.
lingonberries?
Ooh,
All
there you
It
go.
right.
has to be.
And finally, Megan.
Oh, lingonberry.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of all over the place. The only one who was correct was Dan.
Hey.
Yeah,
Heyo.
yeah. It was refined into a unique sparkling drink after an original recipe from the late 18th century. Sav Sparkling is made with
Oh,
sap.
the sap. I was trying to remember what the answer.
It's with sap extracted from silver birch trees. In ancient times, birch sap was used as an important nutritional supplement during late winter and spring when the lack of vitamin-rich products made living difficult in the Arctic
It's
region.
not weird. We drank a
Yeah.
beer that had goat brains in it. Like,
I know.
Come on, wine
tree
people.
sap isn't weird. Tree sap isn't that weird. All right, moving on to our
We just
next-
had a beer last night with maple syrup in it.
We did.
That is
actually,
true.
this one that sounds pretty good. That Sav Sparkling.
Taste of forest.
Yeah, taste of forest and fungus. A long aftertaste with forest and fungus.
I'm
and,
all right with that.
And,
Lingering
and
fungus.
lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Oh, my.
Dan, you're going to guess first on this one. This
Oh,
is
boy.
from Rapazzini Winery.
Sure.
Rapazzini in California produces both red and white varieties of a wine that is made with something surprising that definitely has an Italian flair, but would be better on your plate than in your glass. Is it marinara sauce, garlic, or Parmesan cheese?
They all sound terrible. Garlic.
Dan is
Yeah, I'm
saying
gonna say garlic.
Steph
Anyone that puts
also
Parmesan cheese in their wine needs to not be a winery anymore.
saying- Megan, what do you think?
Garlic.
Oh, everybody's
Sure.
saying garlic so far, Ryan.
I think
Agree?
it's 4 for garlic.
Oh,
Is that
4
really?
for 4, and everybody's correct. It is, in fact, garlic. It's called Chateau de Garlic. And it is specified specifically as a drinking wine in case you rightfully thought it could only be used for cooking. Some user reviews say that the flavor grows on you, but most people think it's pretty bad, even for a novelty wine. Moving on to our next wine of the game, and Steph is going to guess first on this one. Now we're getting into the really weird stuff. This one is not technically a wine in the usual sense, but it does involve rice wine or sometimes whiskey. It's a traditional Chinese drink called Heijiju that, according to questionable lore, can cure a range of ailments and is made by marinating something in the liquor for up to a year. Is it a lizard,
What?
a pigeon, or a squirrel?
Oh, God.
Oh.
Lizard.
I was going to guess green.
Steph is saying lizard. Megan?
Okay, so wait. It's lizard, squirrel, and what was the third one?
Pigeon.
Pigeon. Sounds good. Oh, mercy.
Oh, my.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to say pigeon just for fun because
All right.
I don't
Pigeon.
know.
Pigeon for fun. Ryan?
Hope it's a lizard. Yeah, I'll go with lizard.
Hoping it's a lizard. Finally,
I'm
Dan.
going to say lizard. I feel like I've heard of this before.
Oh, Dan, Steph, and Ryan are all correct. It is, in fact, a lizard. For this potent beverage, a lizard, traditionally a gecko, marinates in rice wine or whiskey for up to a year. It is considered to contain a number of medicinal properties. Properties. And
Things.
treat such ailments as cancer, arthritis, and ulcers. Typically, the reptile, the more poisonous, the more potent, marinates whole in the bottle for 10 days to up to a year. So there you go. Lizard wine. And we're going to review the scores real quick before we get into the final drink of the game. Megan here has 2 points, kind of in danger of losing. Ryan and Dan both have 3 points. You guys are safe-ish.
Ish.
And Steph has 2 points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so of the two that have the lowest score, I'm going to go with our guest Megan to guess first. And our next one is another unusual beverage that comes from the Far East. It involves rice wine as well. It is from Vietnam, and it is called Rau Mat Ran, and also has dubious health benefits associated with it, including virility. It's made by mixing rice wine with a freshly harvested additive that calling unappetizing would be an understatement. Is it cat urine, snake bile, or rat semen?
because the virility. That's why they threw the semen in there. Oh, so that's what they want you to pick. That's what they want you to pick. All right. What was the second choice again?
Snake bile.
All right. I'm going to say snake bile.
Saying snake
Yes.
bile. Ryan, what do you think?
I will go with cat urine.
Going with cat urine. Not a phrase you thought you would say today.
No,
huh?
definitely not.
I will go with
No.
cat urine.
I
Dan?
mean,
Snake pile.
Dan saying snake bile and Steph.
I'll say the semen just because no one else said it.
All right.
I'm
Steph
either going to
for the
lose or not
semen.
lose.
The snake bile has it. Dan
Son
and
of a bitch.
Megan were correct. It is, in fact, snake bile. Snake bile wine is served at the finest Vietnamese restaurants, and it is served fresh. Very fresh.
At least it's fresh.
A waiter slices open a cobra,
No.
removes the gallbladder, and the bile inside is mixed into a glass of rice wine and served as an aperitif.
yikes.
The meal that follows usually involves the rest of the snake. So we're going to add up the points here and see who our big winner and, more importantly, big loser is. And kind of disappointingly, Steph, that was really
I tried to hit fade and then it stopped.
sudden and abrupt. Steph's our loser with 2 points, so she's going to enjoy this punishment, but that's okay. We'll get to see Steph drink something she likes. At the top with 4 out of 5 points is Dan, our big winner today, and our two guests are tied in second place with 3 points.
I predict they're
apiece.
going to want to try the punishment.
I think we're all going to try it, to be honest with you. So if you want to see all of us drink this, and some of us probably take it better than others, don't forget
Maybe
to sign
someone
up
will cry.
for Patreon. You'll get that as well as other cool perks. And if you're super generous, you get this perk, like the following individuals. Our most generous patrons on Patreon, we would like to thank from the bottom of our hearts right now the following people. Jan Shank,
Hell yeah.
James Lamberg,
Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
wow, Joe Mansell,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Mark Modugno,
I'm never amused.
Topher Simmons,
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Poor Man's Brewing Company,
Sprinter Dan.
Kathy Obashevsky,
Sweet baby Jesus.
Eric Dixon,
Hell yeah.
I already did that.
Nate Falkman,
Peanuts.
Ryan Mills,
I'm teaching you a little type anus.
Wolfgang von Colt,
Yes!
Jen McDonald,
I also like whale sperm.
Marilyn Engelman,
Get punished.
Josh Price. Oh, that one hurt. Ron McDonald.
Okay, we have to stay focused.
Is that Carol?
Yep.
And Victoria Miles.
I still want some beer out of that egg.
If you want to find out how you can get on this list and all the other aforementioned perks and more, go to patreon.com/beerbusters. But Dan, what happens now?
I think we got to settle up.
Let's pay our tab.
Say, Yvonne, remember when I said I'd have to send away to NASA to calculate your bar tab?
Oh, yeah. We all had a good laugh, Mo.
The results came back today. You owe me $70 billion.
Hey guys, we'd like to tell you about Casper mattresses. Now, if you listen to podcasts, you've probably heard of Casper. But if you haven't, let me tell you a little bit about it. Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price of what you'll pay at the big box stores. Nothing is more important than a good night's sleep, except maybe a glass of good beer. Casper mattresses are obsessively engineered mattresses at shockingly fair prices. They have just the right sink, just the right bounce, with 2 technologies, latex foam and memory foam, coming together for a life well slept. You can try Casper risk-free for 100 days with free shipping and painless returns. If you want to try Casper, you can get $50 towards any mattress purchase by visiting CasperTrial.com/beerbusters and use the promo code 50SLEEP. Start sleeping better today by visiting CasperTrial.com/beerbusters and entering the promo code 50SLEEP. Terms and conditions do apply.
No.
Your beer.
No. No, your beers.
Mead. Hey, Steph, what do you got?
You kind of stole my thunder there. A little bit. So let's talk about making mead, people.
Oh, we're not talking about hops this episode?
Next time.
Okay. The
Sorry.
continuation.
It will continue.
The hops franchise will return.
The continuation of the education of the Beer Busters Nation.
Yeah, or
Isn't
whatever
that what
that
it used to be?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Look at me remembering stuff. So Ryan so graciously talked to us about what the commercial mead making process looks like and sounds like. how it happens. But perhaps you're wondering, man, how can I make some mead at home? Well, I'm going to give you some tips from a mead making pro that's not Ryan. A recent article in BYO Magazine, one of our favorite beer publications, they called him a brewer, by the way. Brewer Gordon Hull, president, they also call him a mead maker. President and mead maker at Hive Meadery in Humboldt County, California, gave some tips for potential home mead makers. Of course, he mentioned, as we mentioned before, that choosing your honey is something that is vital because the process itself is not super difficult if you understand the fundamentals. As Ryan kind of mentioned before, honey color is a reasonable indicator of what your mead is going to look like in the end, but it is also an indicator of the nutrient content and also the flavor intensity of the honey. If you choose a honey that is too light, you could actually have some fermentation problems. And honeys that are too dark, you might have a mead that has a flavor that is quite overpowering. So if the honey has a pleasant aroma and a pleasant flavor, and you like the way it tastes, it should work fine. So go with orange blossom honey, right? Who doesn't like orange blossom honey? Just saying. They suggest that to obtain honey, you contact a local beekeeper, go to a farmer's market, or an organic food store. Select unfiltered, unheated, and unpasteurized honey, as though these processes rob honey of essential yeast nutrients and other flavor components. The procedure is quite simple, as we found out. Now, they recommend at home that you first boil the water and shut off the heat and remove the kettle from the burner. You slowly stir the honey into the hot water, making sure none of it sticks to the bottom or sides of the kettle where it might scald. Once the honey is dissolved, put the kettle back on high heat and cover and stir occasionally. So would he recommend heating it at home for to avoid it going skanky?
Just to sterilize everything?
To sterilize? Is that? Because that's why I was surprised when you said that there's no boiling done here.
I would not boil.
Yeah?
I would not heat.
So when you made mead at home, you did not heat either?
No.
Interesting.
Pitch enough yeast that it'll take over.
And you sanitize first.
Sanitize everything.
Probably sanitize.
But,
yeah. Interesting. So if you boil, they mentioned that a white foam will appear before the end of the boil, and they said that that's protein and beeswax from the honey. So you actually have to skim that off the top and get rid of it. And you keep skimming it until the foam stops forming altogether. Don't bother.
Don't do any of these things.
So they're saying that this, of course, will kill any wild yeast or microorganisms that might harm your final product. And you have also removed most of the material that might create any haze. They cool it down to 70 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit as quickly as possible so that you can rack it into your fermenter and add yeast nutrient, of course. They recommend adding yeast nutrient and vitamin B1. And aerate it just like you would your beer. And they recommend using a champagne yeast like Red Star's Premier Cuvée yeast and try to maintain a steady temperature of 70 degrees throughout primary fermentation. This will take anywhere from a week up to several months depending on many conditions. Once the yeast flocculates and you see reasonable clarity, rack off the lees, that's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
Like wort for beer, lees for mead.
Yep.
Look at me learning stuff. Into a second vessel and then place it in a cool location. They suggest 2 more months of further clarification and then rack once more before bottling. If your meat is too dry, you can add some honey before bottling. This should be done according to your own taste, but allow an additional month in an airlocked fermenter before bottling. This protects you from a secondary fermentation and exploding bottles. So this was just one guy's suggestion. There were probably 5 different mead makers that had suggested their home processes, but I wasn't going to sit here and read all 5 of them. So it's a really informative and interesting article on BYO.com. And of course, if you want that free issue, click on the red banner on beerbusterspodcast.com. But as you heard from Ryan, there are many different ways to do this at home. And I think I'd kind of go with Ryan's
Yeah, we've
method
tasted his mead and it's really good. I don't know
Yeah.
who this guy is. I've never had his mead, so I'm going to trust Ryan.
Okay.
One of the things I'll warn about, too, if you're trying to do mead at home, everyone tries to do super high alcohol right off the bat.
Yeah.
And that adds so many complications and problems.
Yeah.
Shoot for around 8%, 10%, you'll be fine.
I feel like that's high enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
8%.
that's high enough.
Everyone always tries, 16, 18% alcohol, and it's going to taste bad.
What's the highest you've seen?
The highest I've done has been 22.
Oh, my
Wow.
God. That's insane.
I'm not sure how high on the market. I've seen 16 or 18 on the market already. I'm sure there's higher ones out there, but yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
How did you get it to 22%?
you have to do a step feeding process. So you add the honey gradually, starting with my yeast base, and then I slowly added in champagne yeast over time, and it's just slow and steady.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it taste good?
It did. It needed more aging time, as higher alcohol usually does, but yeah.
It won the race. Slow and steady.
She was waiting to say that.
I was waiting to
Set her
say
up.
that. Yeah. Spike the ball.
I want more mead.
Should I hit,
Okay.
should I hit
yes,
the thing?
yes.
It's
Yeah.
not beer, but should I
Yeah.
hit the thing?
Yeah.
Mead me.
Beer me!
Mead me. Mead me.
Beer me!
Mead.
Round 2, fight.
Beer mead. Beer mead.
Beer mead.
Beer mead.
Beer mead.
Braggots. And they're delicious.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, I guess that is
Yeah.
basically beer mead. I thought we invented a thing.
No, we almost had a thing there.
Oh, wait. You got one out of the refrigerator.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is no pressure, but this is our favorite.
Oh, okay.
Polarizing,
So you
though.
better
It's polarizing.
It is
Ooh.
polarizing. You have to like coffee for this one.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
well,
We
I
all
don't-
like coffee.
Yeah, you've got
This is
us.
a coffee mead. This is the one we like drinking coldest.
Okay.
It brings out much more of a creamy mouthfeel. A lot more chocolate notes come through this. This is made with Reading Roasters coffee.
Jazzy Java,
Jazzy
to be
Java.
specific.
So you get big notes of coffee in this, some chocolate notes. You'll get a lot of chestnut.
Interesting. It's weird hearing you describe those flavors and then seeing how pale the color of it is.
It's an illusion.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All the other wines, meads, we had at room temperature.
Mm-hmm. It's
I didn't
kind
even
of personal
think of that.
preference.
Yeah.
I know Meg likes colder meads. I tend to like mine at room temperature. Like I said, I like that alcohol burn a little bit, so maybe I'm just weird like that. But
You're a little weird. It's
yeah.
okay.
But I like them typically around like 60 degrees is where I say is kind of the sweet spot.
Definitely smell the coffee.
This
Oh,
one
yeah.
became all of my Mother's Day and birthday presents.
So it's cold steeped, so you're not getting that real harsh bitterness. Yeah. This allows you to drink all day long.
Oh, I love that aroma.
That's wonderful.
It's almost like caramely.
It does have a bit of a caramely taste.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. This is incredible.
Yes.
That is really nice. Oh.
But it's fun because we like to use local ingredients as much as possible as well. So it was fun teaming with Reading Roasters to be able to use some local coffees.
Yeah.
And we played with a lot, and this was the one that just really sang
Blew us
the
away.
truest.
Yeah. What I find interesting is I tend to like my coffee bitter and black because these two bullied me into it.
That's
But-
a fact.
Yeah.
And normally when it comes to coffee with sweet flavors, I'm not really in. This does it so well.
Yeah, yeah.
You have the coffee, it's kind of light, it complements the sweetness from the honey, and then you get that caramely flavor that's and it's
That
it's
nuttiness.
so good. Oh, this is
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
So good.
Thank you. Yeah, we say it's close to like an espresso martini if you've ever had one of those. It's
Espresso
very-
martini at
Very
Fegley's.
close.
Oh, yeah?
Fegley's, yeah.
I had that weird drink at Lowe's, the hotel when James
The
came
hardware
down to
store?
visit.
That's why I was like, oh, what day did you go?
the bar at Lowe's.
water
You
is
know?
weird.
Yeah. They serve it they mix it with a drill. Serve it in like a paint bucket.
That would be so great.
No, the real swanky hotel in Philly called Lowe's.
Yeah.
A friend of ours stayed at, and we went to the hotel bar, and I don't remember what the drink was, but it was like I don't drink mixed. I drink beer. I don't really drink mixed drinks, but it was a coffee
was
espresso
good.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
liked
good. I think this is better though.
Oh,
Thank
thank you.
I have to remind myself not to chug it.
Yeah.
They're
That's
so
the hardest
drinkable.
part.
That's the other thing.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
more. Yeah. But they're so drinkable,
Yeah.
and then you forget that it's like double-digit alcohol.
Yeah, Reading Roasters is one we're excited about. We've done at home. They make a toasted marshmallow one.
What?
Awesome.
Yes.
What's the other one?
Chocolate raspberry.
Whoa.
coffee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The Highlander is the one
Highlander.
that took,
Yeah. So we won a first place at Mazer Cup, which is the big international mead competition. We won a gold medal for our Highlander coffee, excuse me, that we aged in a rye whiskey barrel.
Whoa.
So that got really good. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Congrats on the gold.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't know there were, I guess it makes sense, but I didn't know there were mead competitions
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I think there's a
It's-
competition for anything you
Is-
can.
yeah.
Is
sort
there
of
a
do.
GAMF, Great American Mead Festival?
That would be the Mazer Cup.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
say,
no.
I just want to say the word.
Thankfully, it's not called GAMP.
It should be.
It should be. I mean,
GAMP. I'm
I
writing
feel
down
like you got
GAMP.
something.
Yeah, Mazer Cup
going
around
there.
February, I think it is, every year in Colorado. They hold
Of course,
it.
it's in Colorado.
And now
March.
they're actually doing this year. They're holding a Northeast Mazer Cup.
Well, it's not a Mazer Cup. It's a Northeast like a mead congregation
whatever,
of sorts
at the Colony.
Everyone's getting together.
Yeah, it's
cool.
September, I believe that is. So.
How many commercial I don't expect you to have an exact number, but about how many commercial meaderies are out there? It doesn't seem like a lot.
400 to 600, I'd say.
Okay,
it's growing.
So about like what would that be, like a tenth of the number? What's
probably under a tenth, because I think we're over 7,000 breweries.
So yeah, just move the decimal over one. Yeah, that's cool though, and I imagine that number's growing quickly.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. There's new one just opened in Philly, or is opening. I don't know. Meadwell.
And that Jason's with. Yeah.
There's actually another meadery right near here. Stone Keep. They're out in.
There's Haymaker.
Medusild. Yeah, they were at the fest yesterday.
That's right.
We didn't get to chat with them. We didn't even try their meat actually, but I saw their sign.
And then Charm City is becoming really big too. They're,
out of Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know who owns them, but they're really expanding into this area with their carbonated cans.
The one that you said in Philly, where is that? Because I feel like I walked past a meadery in Philly the other day. Do you know?
Clue.
No problem.
What was it called?
Meadwell.
It might have been that. If it's what I'm thinking of, it's off South Street. We were on, I want to say 7th. Sorry, it sounded like there was going to be more to that sentence.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Everyone looked at me. I'm like, that's it. I don't know.
Great freaking content. Philadelphia Meadwell. It is on First Street, just off First Street and Tioga.
Okay, definitely not
out to
that
see
one.
Way northeast. That's where it is. Way up past Kensington.
We'll have to pay them a
and
visit.
Then there's Pittsburgh has Apis.
Yeah.
I apologize, anyone I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah, that's cool though. Is it sort of like concentrated in different areas? Like, are there more here in the Northeast than elsewhere, or you have no idea?
I hear California is huge right now with mead.
Okay.
And I think Pennsylvania is pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywhere you see a lot of craft beer, you see a lot of mead.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's a lot of
following that.
local distilleries are kind of the same way too.
Right.
I don't want to finish it.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got to save room for your quote-unquote punishment.
If I was going to lose one.
This is the one to lose.
You'll probably notice I took some risks with my answers today.
Because you didn't care if you lost?
Because I didn't care.
Yeah, you weren't playing it safe, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's funny. The one reason we love this cherry one so much is that I've done all sorts of variations off that, and one is a spicy mead.
Mm-hmm.
We've done
Great Balls of Fire.
Great Balls of Fire.
Yes.
Too perfect.
We've also aged it on chocolate. We aged it on
chocolate
vanilla.
covered cherries. That was really good.
That's a fun one we're looking forward to playing with in the future.
That's cool.
If you end up doing a lingonberry one, you could do lingonberry mead balls.
Yes. I feel like we need to do that.
Just call it IKEA.
Yeah.
Well, you'd probably get sued for that.
You know.
Flugenflorka?
Flugenflorgen.
Just a random
Just put an umlaut. You're fine.
Yep.
What's an umlaut?
Like a random word.
So this is the one that you said was the sweetest.
Yes, this is the one that started us down this crazy path. So we decided, starting on our second wedding anniversary.
A little before that.
A little before that, yeah. I guess, yeah, we did one for the first one. It wasn't good.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But we decided to start making mead for our anniversary, just for something to do. And so this one we called Love Mead. We caramelized the honey, so it's mead called a bochet with caramelized honey. So you get a lot of marshmallowy type notes from it. It's a lot sweeter because you kind of convert the fermentable sugars into some unfermentable sugars. So there's a lot left behind. And then we added pomegranate juice, cherries, aged it on French and American oak, and vanilla beans. So this is our sweetest one. I'd consider this a dessert mead.
It's also the darkest one we have.
Yes,
it's a really nice color.
Push that. Oh, there.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, mercy! You didn't take the cork out.
I didn't take the cork out.
Uh-oh.
Party foul. It's all right. It's all right.
Push it all the way in. It's all
We'll
good.
be fine.
He's got this.
We're good.
It's fine.
Not the first time that's happened. I just get a little bit of a little extra flavor in that.
This tablecloth is now.
Oh yeah, that's all right.
Oh,
You got a little love on
We've
me.
con-
Don't you have like a screwdriver?
Push
We
it
got
all
a
the way
little
in.
love on the table.
I don't want to ruin their Sharpie. Something to push it all the way.
I mean, I just. Hey, there you go.
All right.
Well
Now you
done.
got
Well
it.
done.
Sit around there.
All
Sorry.
right.
All right.
Nice. No, I like a show with my drink.
It's a little
There you
bit of a challenge for you.
Although the rule is
Don't-
if you spill something, you got to
You
label.
do have to label what that
label,
is.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's the first spill on this tablecloth.
Yep.
It
The
is.
first spill was mead.
And it's a little low.
Yes.
Yep.
Do it with a
little,
pink marker.
This one is.
I went a little heavy on that one.
I
but-
believe it's close to 14% alcohol. This was aged for almost 2 years now.
Ooh.
See, now to me, this smells bourbony.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not hugely
Ooh.
knowledgeable about bourbon though, so
It smells of booze.
I guess it's that the alcohol and the wood aging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could also be the
Little bit
half a
of
cork that's
oxidation
floating in
going
it.
I feel like I want to be
Little oxidized.
cuddled
Ooh.
up in a blanket
Oh my God,
in
that
front of
smell.
a fireplace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's got that fireplace feel.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
really good.
nice.
Thank you.
That was really nice. It's got like a spiciness, almost like what am I thinking of? Like Fireball, like spicy cinnamon a little bit. I got. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy.
No, you're
Like-
not crazy.
Like
I know.
clove or
Yeah. Clove.
clove.
Yeah.
Yeah, close.
Like a little, like kind of
clove.
holidaysy. like I'm reminded of being home for Christmas,
Yeah.
but on like a bearskin rug kind of Christmas.
Bearskin
know.
rug Christmas.
Oh, I'm taking that for a mead name. Bearskin rug Christmas.
Oh, man.
my.
Yes.
We're writing that down as well.
Can I write it on the tablecloth?
Go for it.
You can write whatever you want on the tablecloth.
I can kind of taste the difference with the caramelized honey. It's in it because it's like a darker profile out of it, more or less. And
Yeah.
it's more of like a bold flavor, which I really enjoy.
And it's
that.
almost a bit, I'll say, like roasty or like
Yeah.
Definitely a complex one. There's a lot going on in this. Yeah.
It
I
also
feel
has
like-
it's got a nice burn.
Yeah.
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 I'm with you on
That's
that.
the 14%.
That's a bear hug
Yeah.
on the esophagus.
Bearskin
What's
rug.
Leslie Knope's boss's name?
Ron Swanson.
It's, I
Swanson.
could picture Ron Swanson drinking this on the leather chair in front of the fireplace.
It does. Yeah. It has a really. I mean, it almost has like a dark bourbon color.
in this fancy glass.
So if you wanted to fool people that you were, make them think you're drinking bourbon out of that, and you said that if you want your mead chilled or room temperature is a preference, have you seen anybody put ice in their mead? Is that a thing that people do?
Yeah, we were just serving at Art on the Avenue the other week. It was kind of a warm day.
I did see your tent, and I wanted to stop, but we were in a rush to
Too
leave.
busy for us. Sorry.
No, I was in a rush to get home because I was super hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
Yeah, so it was a warm day, and a lot of people were drinking, especially the cherry over ice.
That'd be good.
I think me drinking my mead with ice would be better. Because I would drink this way too fast, and I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah. That is kind of the.
Because it's so drinkable.
The ice helps.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Slows
Could
it
you do
down.
a mead slushy? That's
Yes.
like a
Yes.
thing now.
Ooh.
Alcoholic slushies.
Everybody wants slushies. Yeah.
The cannon we have.
Yes,
it's so
the
good.
Colony does a lot of those up in Allentown.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we've played with that at home. It's really good.
Yes.
Could you make a hazy? mead?
No,
Hazy mead.
no.
No.
Putting my foot down.
New England mead.
No.
So yeah, funny thing about that. Well, at first we do filter all these, which is, I don't know, people have problems with that for some reason too. But if you don't, you get a lot of sediment after a couple
Nasty
months.
sediment.
Yeah, it just looks.
Oh.
It's like
not
this.
like a pretty
Yeah, it's
haze.
not like beer sediment. At least kind of looks nice, I guess. This is kind of like this fluffy, just stuff sitting on the bottom of the bottle.
Or it looks like clay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Lovely.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
something
weird.
falling out of the honey is just not attractive.
Yeah.
I support filtering. It's
Yeah, thank you.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
So we talked about that you want to have the tap room or tasting room open within 1 to 3 years. I feel like
1 to 10.
1 to 10.
10 to be safe.
I feel like 1 to 3 is probably a reasonable goal. And you're currently doing farmers markets, and you're trying to expand to different states. Would be one of your next moves. do you see yourself sticking with like farmers markets, or would you go into like grocery stores, like regular grocery stores at that point? What's the plan from there?
So sticking with farmers markets seems to be the way to go. Grocery stores are very tough, especially since I won't call anyone out, but the bigger chains who have taken over beer and wine that everyone was kind of pushing for. In my opinion, it's been hurting lately. They put you on a shelf. A lot of the places you won't get, I can't specifically call this mead necessarily. Like I can't make a poster or a sign that says mead.
Oh,
They
true.
kind of push us on their shelf, and it's kind of up to them to move it. There are good grocery stores out there. Like Wegmans is one of the good ones who know what they're doing when it comes to this kind of stuff. So grocery stores are down the line once we can drop it in a location and get in 100 grocery stores. But at first we'll be sticking with farmers markets. The way the PA law is now, it's very open for farmers markets.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So we need to get one license each year that's tacked on to our winery license, and then we can go in any farmers market we want.
I could see this going over well in like a Sprouts or a Whole Foods or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a specialty store.
So you said you have a winery license. So mead is, according to the state, considered more like a winery.
Yes.
So you would have to be sold in a state store, not like a bottle shop.
There's
Exactly.
a big,
Okay.
yes, a
I would've
big
thought of
problem
that.
happening with that.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't talked to anyone else on the market, but there was a big problem. So they've changed the law that I think it's 8.5% can get sold in distributors. So now these meaderies who are making 12% and 6% carbonated are kind of in this weird in between. We need two different distributors. Like, what are we? What's going on
Interesting.
here? So it's So
Is that the reason why some meaderies are going with this carbonated mead to kind of be able to get themselves out on a bigger distribution
Probably,
footprint
yes.
since it's lower in alcohol?
Yep. I'd say so.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, plus I also feel like it maybe would have a broader appeal to drinkers in general. A lower
Yeah,
alcohol,
no, that's a really,
carbonated
really good
drink.
point.
Yeah.
Because like Rich doesn't drink, so if I buy a bottle of this and you open it at home, although I figure you could probably drink some, put a cork in it, and put it back in the fridge, and it would be okay. It's not like opening a crowler and then
Right.
you're screwed because it's going to be flat the next time you go to drink it. But yeah, I would be hesitant to typically buy a bottle of something this high in alcohol that is that size, because if I'm going to open it, I would want other people to drink it with.
Yeah, and I'll
Just
say
to share it
as
with
far as the
friends.
mead too, like we found that it's good for a long time, even open. I won't say that about all of ours, but especially the ones without fruit. So the coffee one we had sitting in the fridge for 6 weeks, that was open, half drank,
it was
and
a long
it was,
time. It got
It
lost.
was good. Yeah. So anyway, we got back to it, and it was just like close to the day we opened it.
Yeah.
So it does last a little bit longer.
Interesting. I'm curious if once more meaderies pop up, how the laws will change. Because you're right, you guys are kind of like in this limbo area between.
Yeah, do you
we're
treat
not
it
really
like
a winery,
wine?
but
Do
we're
you
not
treat it
really
like
a brewery.
beer? Yeah.
Federal is still very tough. That's why I call it the AMMA, the American Mead Makers Association, has been awesome trying to push things forward. A few years ago, everything had to be called honey wine. They didn't recognize the name mead. So you'll see earlier bottles were all honey wine. Now we can officially call it mead. We still need to get recipes approved for anything that's spiced. Only our traditional, we don't need a recipe for, that's covered under them. But anything else needs to be, we need to approve a recipe. That takes about a month to approve.
Yeah.
Beer and grape wine don't have to go through that.
Right.
I can't put a year on any of these because only grapes have the right to use vintage years. Even though, to me at least, honey, especially wildflower honey, year to year is completely different.
Right, so
grapes
really,
are much closer. But
You can't even put a bottled on date.
I'm not sure. We have to look into that.
Yeah.
Sort of like a gray area. Yeah.
What about serving your product in a restaurant?
We can do that. Yep.
You can?
Yep. We're allowed to sell to restaurants, bars.
So
like that.
once you start doing the carbonated meads, could you sell kegs?
Yeah, definitely.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we're excited for that.
That's part of the plan.
I feel like that's what's really going to get mead on the map is making it more accessible like that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people want to go out after work or to dinner, and you see a mead on tap. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, you see like your wine list, your beers, and then like a couple of meads. Yeah.
Well, and even like,
like-
in my homebrew club, we have a guy that brews sake, and he just did he was over in Japan and did this whole internship, and like he is really knowledgeable and makes some incredible sake. And like I kind of feel like mead is right now, but I feel like the next wave is sake. And just imagine one day that wine list is like no longer going to be a wine list. It's going to be a portfolio of beverages.
Yes.
Every kind of drink you can think of.
Beer, not beer.
Yes.
Beer, not beer.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, even that's like there's
Wine,
some blurred
not
lines
wine.
there.
Right,
Yeah.
Can I just also say I'm starting to get like a toasted marshmallow campfire thing
Yes.
out of this?
There it
that
is.
I really
That is-
like.
there it is.
Campfire
That
is exactly where I'm at with
That is
this.
the quintessential bochet type flour, is marshmallow.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
For some reason, when you caramelize the honey, it just gives you that
that.
marshmallow taste. Yep.
So if you want to learn more about Rebel Hive, they are rebelhivemeadery.com. They're also Rebel Hive Meadery on Facebook and Instagram. I assume, like most others, you don't have a Twitter page.
No.
Sorry, Wayne.
We were going back and forth on that.
Just so I can tag you. That's all I want to do. When the episode
No
comes
one
out,
does Twitter anymore.
I just want to tag
I thought
you.
about the other day. I'm like, why do I even still have a Twitter page? Like, no one is on
I
Twitter.
look at Twitter.
Yeah,
I'll
I do,
scroll
but
through it.
no one's there.
Oh, except for
So,
you.
and do you post on your social media pages like which markets you're at? So if people want to come and say hi to you guys and try the mead.
Yeah, we post all that. We're at events pretty much every weekend right now during the summer.
Yeah,
so,
great time for events.
Yeah.
Super cool. So go check them out at a farmer's market. How much do your bottles run?
So the traditionals typically $12. Our flavored stuff is around $14 a bottle.
And those are how many ounce bottles?
There's 375 milliliters, about just under 13 ounces.
Nice.
Very cool. Like it.
That's reasonable.
That's
Yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
actually more manageable than I was thinking.
Yeah.
They look much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, as far as volume.
When you put it in
goes a
ounces,
long
I'm
way.
like,
Under
all right.
12%.
Yeah.
It's a sip and drink.
Yeah.
it is a sip.
And they all pack a mean punch because they have double digits ABV,
Yeah.
ranging from, what was it, 10 to, what was the highest that we had?
13 or
It was
14?
14 was the
Okay.
the love,
Pushing
yeah.
14.
Oh, that's what the love was. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so good. Oh my God. They're all
thank you.
delicious.
Yeah, I really like that
Man.
one. Can people buy direct from you, or do they have to go to these markets where you're at?
They have to go to the markets. We're working on online sales.
Okay.
We'll get to that hopefully in a month or two.
That would be
Oh,
cool.
ASAP.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
to look forward
there's
to.
a place called Vino Shipper. If you've never heard of it, check it out. If you're looking to get mead from across the country, Vino Shipper, they'll ship to your house.
That's
You
awesome.
just have to be
Mead.
home, you know.
Yeah.
You just have to be home. That's instrumental.
Well, while you are on the internet looking at where you can find Rebel Hive, make sure you check out Beer Busters as well, at Beer Busters, Twitter and Instagram, Beer Busters Podcast on Facebook, beerbusterspodcast.com, and Patreon. Don't forget, you need to sign up for that if you are not already on board, because Steph may or may not have rigged this in her favor for her punishment that's not a punishment. Go figure.
That's what happens when you come to my house and you're like, oh, we need to punish me for today.
I had ideas. Nobody asked me, though.
Well, Steph also got rid of some beers. She still had beers from Do Good, right?
Yes.
In her fridge. Do
No,
Good.
they weren't
That
even in my
was-
fridge.
That
They
was
were in
a
the pantry.
while ago.
Yeah.
What was that, 2014, 2015?
Those would have been good punishment beers, but she
Well,
got rid of them.
one of them exploded, so I wanted to get rid of the rest of them so
case
that would
they
not
exploded
happen in
it,
my
yeah.
house.
All right,
There's a
that's
punishment. This
Yeah,
might
right.
explode in your face.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah,
Might
right.
explode in your face.
Lick up this exploded beer.
Oh,
We're having
man.
to call Megan for punishment ideas, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like she's
Yeah.
going to come up with some good ones.
Oh, mercy. I feel so bad. Glass shards in people's eyes.
Yes.
Well, we also have a friend that found a 20-year-old can of beer buried in his backyard.
I really think
Oh.
we need to use that. We need to
I'm
convince
scared.
him.
I feel like that'll kill someone.
200th
Are you sure it's
episode there.
beer?
Yeah, right.
It's actually what I said to him last night.
Wait.
200th episode punishment.
My great grandfather's elderberry
We
wine.
did find elderberry wine that's at least 100 years old.
Oh my God!
Wow.
It was delicious.
It's not bad. It's
Yeah, it's still.
I
in
feel
our
like
freezer.
that's not a punishment. That's like an heirloom. Like that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
that's-
yeah, probably a whole lot of that.
Special.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, this was great, guys. Thank you so much for having us
Oh,
out here.
thank you
thank
so
you.
much for having
Thank
us
you.
Of course.
on.
Thank you
Yes,
for
it's a lot of fun.
shedding the light on mead and the wonders that it can be.
Yes. Drink mead.
Yes, absolutely.
If you tried it in the past, try it again.
Yeah.
It's coming around again.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you've only had one and you say you don't like it, you need to change your opinion out there.
Yeah, they're definitely not
These are
all the
great.
same. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
These
Thank
are
you.
absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, this does bring us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters. My eyes have been opened even more to the world of mead. That Jazzy Java, man, they were all good. I think that one might be my favorite.
I like the love, man. This
Yeah,
is
the love was good. They were
so
all good. They're all
complex.
good in their own right. Oh
Yeah,
man,
no, I agree with that.
cool. Well, make sure you head to Farmers Market when they're going to be there. Pick up your own bottles of Rebel Hive. Well, hey, I am Dan Baker. I'm joined by my co-host and virologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
No squids were harmed in the making of this episode, and neither were any bees. We'll see you next time.
Yes. There's so much time left in the music. Is it over yet?
Did we say our names yet?
Wait for it. We said our names already. Gamph.
Oh, this gets edited.
It does. It does.